and took me several years of practice to communicate the way I'm communicating right now. Today, with the advancements of AI, particularly in the Indic model landscape, I can study any engineering course or any course which I am passionate about. AI is for everyone, even people from the remote parts of Indian villages. Building for India or capturing the nuances of diversity is never an easy task. I'd like to take a moment and pay emphasis on India AI's Impact Summit mission for Global South, particularly the sovereign compute, sovereign data, and the indigenous model. I'm Usha Rengaraju. I'm an AI developer and Kaggle Grandmaster. I've been working for the last 10 years with a lot of early stage AI startups to help them bring their AI ideas to products across several domains like e-commerce, retail, manufacturing, and healthcare. I come from an agricultural family from a very remote rural part of southern India. And my family has been doing agriculture for generations. And farming back then was a very unpredictable profession for a lot of reasons because of uncertainty in rainfall and fluctuation in prices and all of that. And my parents didn't want me to pursue something which is very unpredictable. So they deliberately sent me to the city to study in an English medium school. But now, today, when I look back, I would tell my father, farming is no longer uncertain and unpredictable. With all the advancements in AI and the data which we have at our disposal, it's a very much future-forward profession. And a lot of Indian AI startups, particularly Vadvani AI, Meaty Labs, Kizan AI's chatbot, which lets the farmers communicate and ask questions in their own vernacular language and get questions for all their queries. With all these advancements, we have proven that AI is no longer restricted to certain boundaries or no longer restricted to certain geographies or no longer restricted only to urban places. AI is for everyone, even people from the remote parts of Indian villages, irrespective of the professions, irrespective of the gender. It's accessible and it belongs to everyone. That's what these startups, Indian AI startups, have achieved. Moving from my remote village to the capital city of the state to pursue my education in an English medium school brought its own set of challenges for me. I was thinking, doing everything in my mother tongue, Tamil, and all of a sudden I have to conceptualize, read, create a mental mapping of all of everything which I do in English, which I was not very comfortable with. Until the age of 5, I wouldn't speak, I would rarely communicate. My parents were so scared that I had difficulties in speaking and they started taking me to a lot of speech therapists. But in reality, I was so scared. I was finding it very difficult to communicate in a different language which I was not comfortable with. And until 6th and 7th grade, I still was speaking in broken English and took me several years of practice to communicate the way I'm communicating right now. So as a child, I longed for an education system or I long for a practice which will help me read, visualize, pursue everything in my own mother tongue, Tamil. I was not able to do it back then, but today with the advancements of AI, particularly in the Indic model landscape, to name few Servam AIs, Hindi LLM, OpenHadi, Krutrim, Bharat Gen from IIT Bombay Consortium, and Bharat GPT, which is already integrated into education tablets. I can study any engineering course or any course which I am passionate about from the NPTEL videos, NPTEL videos, which is generally hosted on Swayam, at the comfort of my home in my remote village. I can access all of these resources in my mother tongue. Building for India or capturing the nuances of diversity is never an easy task. India is a very diverse country, be it in cultural nuances or linguistic nuances or the food or everything changes in every 5 kilometer radius. We are very, very diverse country. The models of global north, specifically centered around English, is definitely a not fit for a country of this diverse nature. We need something which is more inclusive of our cultural practices, our linguistic abilities, something which people can use it to communicate in their own vernacular languages. Inclusion is very, very integral when we talk about building for India. Inclusion should never be an afterthought. It should be very much part of a design. For me, working with neurodivergent populations and advocating for them for several years taught me a lot about inclusive practices. I organized Neuro AI, which is India's first ever research symposium in the intersection of neuroscience and data science. I followed it up with Neurodiversity India Summit, which brought together neuroscience researchers, neurologists, neurodivergent people themselves, parents of neurodivergent peoples, and all of them under one roof. We were having discussions on how to make neurodivergent people lead an independent life. With all these insights at hand, I started building a lot of POCs and demos using AI to help neurodivergent people solve some of their most difficult problems. Understanding emotions in multiple modalities, understanding social cues and body language. But most of the technologies and AI tools which we have at our disposal was all English centric. And I was struggling to put together the demo which might work well for the Indian audience or the Indian neurodiverse community. Thanks to Bhashini AI, India's national translation language service, with all the great features like text to speech, speech to text, and multilingual translation services, which helped me put together successful demos for helping neurodivergent people understand emotions in multiple modalities. Progress for India is not about taking some English centric model, putting together a project or a demo or a startup and going live in the next 2 weeks. It's more about building for India and building for billions of people at scale. India's stack of AI, Indian government has made the compute backbone available for all these startups at a very, very subsidized rate of 65 rupees per hour. What will work for India's AI model is about how efficiently we can use these small language models in comparison to the closed large language models. And these small language models are quite capable of fitting into even mobile devices and other edge devices, which could be used by billions of people across India in their own vernacular languages. I, as an open source contributor, putting together demos across the open source stack of AI, have benefited greatly from all these resources from the India stack of AI and also use these GPUs for competing in the world's biggest competitive AI platform called Kaggle. And I'm also a Kaggle Grandmaster. All of this was possible with the generous amount of GPU support which is offered by India stack of AI. Have been working with tech communities, particularly AI communities, across Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities for several years now. Every year, I take it upon me to give back to the community. I used to go to travel to Tier 2, Tier 3 cities across India, upskill women, and I had a personal target of at least upskilling minimum of 3,000 to 5,000 students across Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities because we need the right kind of talent, not just in Tier 1 cities, but it has to be distributed across Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities as well. With India AI's mission to democratize across Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities is made possible with the help of Data AI Labs, which is already live with 30 plus cities And in future, we will have these labs across 570 places across India where the Tier 2 and Tier 3 population will be upskilled to work in the data curation and the data annotation. But all of this will be realized fully only if we take into consideration all the three important sutras: people, planet, and progress. True progress in AI can be achieved only if we expand the horizon of who gets to participate, who gets to speak, and who gets to use all of these products and services. Over several years, helping neurodivergent communities and upskilling women in AI across Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities, I have heard so many stories of social change, so many stories of social impact. One story which really touched me was one day I got a call from a mother of a neurodivergent child. She told me how an opportunity to speak at Neurodiversity India Summit gave the child a lot more speaking opportunities. It has also helped her get a very good scholarship for her higher educations in the subject of her choice. I was so happy to hear this, how a small opportunity given to a child at the right time can transform the entire career and the life of the child. Systems and products and startup should be designed with people in mind. People should be the center of all these innovations and technological advancements. It shouldn't be a luxury for very few people. It has to be the lifeline for all of them, or lifeline for many people. We should not look at AI as some kind of a replacement tool which would take all of our jobs away. We should reframe the narrative. We should think of it as some kind of augmentative tool which can help and transform the lives of all of these people. I'd like to take a moment and pay emphasis on India AI's Impact Summit, Mission for Global South, particularly the sovereign compute, sovereign data, and the indigenous model will decide who gets to participate in this intelligence. India AI mission is not just a conference, it's a deliberate shift in that thinking. We need to think what will work for India's population at scale. Just like how Aadhaar transformed identity and UPI transformed economic payments. This is a moment where we get to transform who gets to participate in this intelligence. By making intelligence more accessible, more affordable, and more locally relevant for Indian population at scale.